Uh, so we're on the literature research. This is something I would highly recommend you doing a little bit of before you actually send out your topic, okay? Because some topics are a lot harder to research. And this is the primary place where students end up committing to a topic and then want to retract from the topic because they realize that actually researching the topic and finding articles for it is much more difficult than they thought. Okay? And so this is the biggest trap that ends up showing up on these things, other than just way overcommitting. Yeah. Okay. And some places, if you haven't looked at the research that's been done on these articles, on the topics, you can end up with a lot less research that actually tells you, or even get to the point where, like, I didn't realize that there's 5 of these diseases and they haven't cured 4 of them. And I committed to curing all of these in my paper. Okay? So this is the place where be specific in your topic and then do a little research before, okay? Okay. Some of them are much harder to research. All right, so this is some guidelines to, this is using ChatGPT to help you summarize the research. So you'll do a literature search. You need 10 primary papers. Do you all know what primary papers are? Yeah. So these are like peer-reviewed journals. There are a few things that are not peer-reviewed journals that are also primary papers, but it's unlikely you'll actually end up finding many of those, okay? If you're unsure, you can talk to me, but you also will probably need other things that are not primary papers, like to describe things, use figures from them, that sort of thing. And so also you need to have those, and you need to go ahead and quote those. But they are not your primary papers. It's very likely you're going to have like 15 references, okay? I'm not looking for an exact number here, but honestly, if you have less than 10 primary papers, you don't really have a good survey, right? Especially if you're biochemistry stuff, that would be really low number. You'll need an annotated bibliography of your references and a PDF for every cited source. I'll need to see those PDFs and have those, along with the annotated bibliography. Okay, so I can check those out and see what's in them and help you if you need help. I think everything. You should be able to submit them all to here. Let me know if you have any difficulty submitting them, okay? All right. What you'll do then is you're going to take and upload a copy of one of your important references, something that you think is really important to your topic, and then you're going to go ahead and use the AI, ChatGPT, to summarize that in 150 to 200 words. Okay? And then you're going to go ahead and write a 150 to 200 word paragraph and basically dissect. Did ChatGPT do a good job? What are its failings? What was the positives out of that? And really recognize both its strengths and failings. Okay? Okay. Now, there is some really interesting work that's been done with this. They've been using, you guys won't have access to them, but there's some AI that have been trained on scientific literature, and they've been doing tests of only training it on scientific literature up to a certain date. I believe it's 1980s. And then they're taking it and using it to predict where discoveries could happen that would have major impacts. And it's been very accurate, about 80% accuracy so far. And it's been taking basically points where there isn't where things have been discovered in multiple fields and aren't overlapping and isn't getting filled in. And there's some really cool stuff with it, but there's also hallucinations and junk. So, you gotta be careful. Understand the strengths and weaknesses of your tools, right? Okay, so the next part is February 27th. You're going to submit a paper outline. This is going to be outlines, both paper and presentation are going to be the same time period. The presentation is going to be over the same material as this paper. It's just going to be a short Ignite presentation, though. Okay. And so This is going to be where you give me an outline. Again, ChatGPT can be used for the paper only. Don't use it for the presentation. It'll really mess you up. And so you can go ahead and feed it in your references and reviews on the information, and then you can use it to help you actually write out your outline. And it's really good for, like, you put the key points and the points that are very important to be correct, and then it filling in all the other junk that needs to be filled in. Like, there's a lot of your sentences and stuff that it's very obvious what's next, right? And you really didn't need to fill that in if somebody could just come in and fill it in for you. Yeah. And so, yep, you're going to use your first pass from ChatGPT. Don't just directly take that out and use that. What you need to go is go back through, refine the outline so it's in terms of what would make sense to actually build up your case, because that's actually what you're going to be doing, right? And so this is one of the parts that really, really suffers from ChatGPT, is it does a pretty good job of getting the main points usually, but it tends to mix those up and not like give it in any structure that would make sense to a human being. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Again, you include citations in here. The final outline you'll submit as a separate document. At the end of the document, you're going to write a 200 paragraph. Obviously not paragraph. 200 word paragraph, excuse me. Reflection on the interaction with the AI, and, like, did you get the results you wanted? Did it do a good job? Was it more trouble than it was worth? Yeah. What were the strengths and weaknesses? Basically, again, I'm making you reflect on the tool and how to use it properly. Now, this outline, I am going to be expecting this to actually be something that is used in your final paper. So remember that every step of this is actually a building point towards that paper. And if you just, like, throw out a step because you did it an hour before class or something, then it's going to be harmful to the final products, right? Okay. We'll also have, in addition to the paper outline, you're going to need to include one or two items that are represented the work you have done towards completing the presentation. Again, like we had talked about last time, this could just be the slides, pictures that you've decided to use, and it gives me a general idea of the direction you're taking. This could be a, like, rough outline where you've titled. This could be the slide deck. Just not formatted, just like random things. Not random. Things that you kind of plan to use but need to trim the fat from and make sense more of. Put in there. Detailed list of slides would also work. I plan on using a picture of this here, picture of that here. This is going to be this. Okay. Just as long as I understand the overall. Now, your slide itself, it's going to be in a night talk, and I'll go ahead and open that. But with time limit for questions, everything, it's going to be 15 minutes. And it's going to be basically 10-minute presentations, right? Ignite presentations, very quick. And you need to have the timing down. Wait, is that the right time?
It's a 5-minute presentation.
Yeah, it is.
It's 20 slides with 30 seconds each.
Yes, it is. Huh. I need to modify that timing.
Okay.
I guess I didn't copy and paste properly. Missed a part. So yeah, 5-minute presentation. There's the instructions for the actual deal. And so this is actually the rough draft of it for the night presentation. And let's go ahead and do the presentation a little bit and in a little bit, and we'll talk about the paper and finish this first, okay? Because I don't want to skip back and forth. Okay, so next thing you're going to do is you're going to do reviews from reviewers. And so we'll have a reviewer commentary. What should happen if this works as it says it does is that it should actually give you 2 reviewers automatically using this once you submit your rough draft, your reviewer copies. So when you submit the paper for review, you should automatically get reviewers from this. Okay? But I'm also going to expect you to bring a paper that you've taken all of your information off of. And when you submit the copy for review, this needs to be a version that doesn't have your identifying information on it. Okay? So no name, nothing that would give away who you are. Okay? I know that it's a little bit of a facade and really kind of, because we only have 3 people in here, so yeah. But still, we're going to do it the correct way. So you'll bring a physical copy that day. That will be that first day that we have the meetings. And then you're also going to submit a version online, so we have a copy in case something happens. Okay? What's going to happen after that is you're going to have a commentary. So you're going to need to make a review for other people's papers. And so this one right here is the review you're going to make for other people's papers. And we go ahead and go build. So you'll act as a reviewer. Here's guidelines on how to review from Science and the ACS Journal that can help you, guide you. There's a guidance right here as well. This is just additional material if you're confused. Okay. And so you're going to review the papers that you get. You'll end up with 2 of them. And you'll do things like, does the paper fit the standards and scope of what it's meant for? This is supposed to be a review article, right? Covering the material for the topic. Is the primary idea purpose clear? Was the approach appropriate to this material? Did they go super political with a science article? Did they use a lot of emotional language that's revolving around them personally in the science topic, which would not be appropriate, right? Just the wrong type of paper then. Could the presentation of the results be improved? Do they answer the questions? Is there ways that they could cut down on material to make it flow better or add stuff in to make it make more sense? Figures are a big one here, that they could have used a figure to better demonstrate this topic. Are the conclusions appropriate? That's really, really common, actually. People get very pigeonholed in a conclusion. Mm-hmm.
And we did this same paper for advanced biochemistry.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't include any figures in the review article. Are we in?
You can include figures, yeah.
Okay. Is it required to include figures, or
If you don't need them for
necessary?
anything, no.
Okay.
But oftentimes figures are easier to convey complex topics.
Mm.
So, and there's guidelines on how to include the figures, and then you'd quote them from wherever you strip them from.
Okay.
Yeah. So
do they count against page count? Because in terms of
Yeah.
like it has to be 5 pages long of like page length, like it would probably end up being more with those figures.
yes, they'll count towards page
Okay.
length, but you can't expand them out. And on the rough draft, I'll end up making if it tries to get abused, I'll
Right.
make a commentary. Yeah. But yeah, you can definitely do figures. Yeah. Typically, you actually include the figures at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyways, does anybody need any more on this? Okay. One of the things to remember is that while science is an activity that is confrontational in nature, that there is not consensus. Consensus is absolutely the wrong word for science. What there is there's debate, right? Or a confrontation of ideas to grind away at each other to try to produce the best final results. Okay? It does not mean that you have to be nasty about it. Okay? So, again, supportive. Don't just agree. Supportive, though. Commentary to improve the idea. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do I need there? Oh, and then your third reviewer is actually going to be ChatGPT. Okay? So you're going to have ChatGPT review your article. All right. So you'll put in your article and then have ChatGPT do the review based on this right here, which is the peer review form that's supposed to help you out when you do these reviews. It's a guidance for it. It takes you through that same stuff we just talked about. And then you get ChatGPT to review you. Okay. And then what you're going to do, once you get ChatGPT to review you, after you've submitted it, you're also going to submit a response to the reviewers along with your article that you're submitting, your final version, which is a publication copy. And that response to the reviewers will include the 2 human reviewers and the ChatGPT reviewer. Okay. And this is the final guidelines for the final article with all the little guidelines on how to do each of those formattings. Okay. And then the guidelines for response to reviewers, and that's what it should be looking like. So reviewer, comments from reviewer, and then you would paste the comment, you'd respond to it, paste the comment, respond to it. Your reviewer is italicized, and so I can tell who's who. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Don't just say I disagree or I agree. If it's something you agree with, I took action along these guidelines. I did this. If you disagree with, this is the reason I disagree. Okay? It's one of the differences between humanities and science, right? Is we always got to support positions, don't we? Okay. And so that's the paper. And let's talk a bit about the presentations. So these are the presentation guidelines for the Ignite presentations. Okay. And that's the Ignite talk. Here's the instructions. There's going to be an outline, rough draft, then final draft. We already talked about the outline. I don't think we need to go into more detail on that. Okay. Going to do this with the bio people because it would be awful to only give your presentation in front of me and 2 other people, right? So, need a room. No?
It would be better.
Oh, okay. Okay. So remember that you're going to need to focus in on your topics. It's going to be 20 very image-centric slides, 15 seconds each. Should give a engaging 5-minute presentation. Having said that, it's very, very, very important that you take that paper and don't try to present the paper. Okay? You really need to take 3 to 5 key points from the paper. I'd recommend less is usually better, but it depends on how significant your key points are. And really focus in on those. You try to present the paper, your paper's definitely not a 5-minute presentation, right? Or else it's a really bad paper. It probably has a lot more information than 5 minutes would allow, right? Yeah. So keep in mind, you're going to start strong with introductions. It's oftentimes good to have a leading commentary. Do you guys know what a leading commentary is?
Are you talking about the beginning of the presentation
Mm-hmm.
to kind of introduce everybody into the topic itself?
Yes, and to get them to start thinking about the topic, to draw them in. Kind of like a song's hook, right?
Right.
Usually happens within the first 15 to 30 seconds, right? And the hook is to get them to come with you with the presentation. Okay. Common hooks are things like asking questions which relate to their everyday lives, and then they can actually have a response to. Does that make sense? Okay. It really helps draw people in. Okay. And gives you a better presentation environment. Please try not to ask redundant questions that you would have to wait for somebody to respond to, or you don't have any intention of them answering, and even in their own head. Okay? So good hooks are things like, we all know cancer, but did you know cancer is immortality? You're kind of interested in that, right? What? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Bad hooks are things like, do you know what 2 plus 2 is? You don't. You expect them to know, and you don't really care. Other bad hooks are the rhetorical questions you're always asked by people that are just reading off of scripts, and they literally just pause there. And they're meant to be hooks, but because the person has no idea why they're there, they're not actually using them, right? Yeah. You've all heard telemarketers, right? Yeah. Those are bad hooks. Okay. Unless you got sold the thing, in which case it's a good hook. All right. So lay out what the audience is going to learn during the presentation. It helps to give a structure and guideline. If you sort of lay that out in the first bit after you get them hooked, and then they can kind of like check the boxes off as you're going. And that way they have some sort of idea what to expect. Keep in mind that when you have images and stuff, try not to get people reading off your screen. Okay? If they're reading off your screen, they're no longer paying attention to you. And that's problematic because people don't really divide their attention at all. That's not a thing. There's not actual multitasking. There's task, stop, do other task, stop, do other task. And so that breaks up flow. It's a really good idea to summarize your key points after you've presented them. So oftentimes the best sort of methodology is you're going to learn this, teach that, this is what you learned just now. Okay? Not necessarily in those words. That was a little bit too direct. Okay? But in general. It does help to sort of end with a powerful call to action to further promote your research. Most of you are learning this for that you're going to be using these things to get people interested in something you're interested in and to help you out, whether that's financially or just doing things to help you out, right? And asking questions so you can further research. So it really does help to sort of have some sort of powerful call to action for a future thing, okay? Or a powerful call to action for things that can be done on this. Guidance of thing to be done is much better than this is the problem. All right? You see that a lot, actually. Where they end with the problem, right? And it never works. Anyways, anybody have any questions? One of the things that I'm doing a little bit different than the biology, and you'll notice that as well, is that I have this broken apart in the presentations where there's a rough draft and a final draft. Okay? And what's going to happen is when you do the rough draft, you're going to submit your deck to me, and you're going to set up a time with my Calendly right there. And you're going to go ahead and just do a really rough presentation. You don't need the timer on. We're just going to loosely time it, and I'm going to give you like immediate commentary so you understand what the commentary is about. Okay? And it's more of beat out all the kinks and problems out of it, right? Okay. And then the final draft is where you'll take any of that feedback, apply any of the feedback you felt was valuable, and then you'll submit that to your final draft. And that one is the one that you'll actually present. Okay? Now, having said that, I'm going to apologize now Okay. I have a very, very rich, long history of presentations. Okay. I have made or done like 15 keynote presentations, and then I've done 4 conferences a year for 6 years. So like 24 presentations in main halls where I've talked in front of 200 to 1,500 people. And I've helped host several major international conferences. Like, I'm very well seasoned in scientific presentation. So I tend to like flip on the switch and just be like, these are the problems, fix them. I'm not meaning to be mean. If I do that, I have actually made people like get emotional because they're like, oh my God, did I do anything right? Yes, you did. It would take me a lot longer if you did everything wrong. Okay? There would be more than 20 things per slide. Okay? But I will just like, these are all the issues. You'll want a notepad whenever we do this, and you'll want to go like slide 1, da 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 da, slide 2, da 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 da, slide 3, da 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 da. Okay? And yeah, I'm sorry. It's just that's the more efficient thing. And what we'll do is we'll try to make it so it's private because that usually works better instead of like getting the presentation torn apart. And don't feel bad about it though. Everybody does a shit job for their first few presentations. Like that it just is. I did a crap job. Linus Pauling did a crap job. Everybody does a crap job. Okay. And I want you to be good enough that you could present in front of Charlestown, the inventor of the laser, and not be ripped apart. Which actually, if you know anything about that, he ripped everybody apart. He was a jerk. So, he was brutal. All right. Anybody have any questions about anything? Okay. Okay, so please make sure that you start reviewing for general chemistry. Okay. And we'll be starting up the quiz. I believe it is the next time we meet. Yep. And so what we'll do here is we'll do a little bit of. Do you have any questions? And if you have any questions, we'll do questions for a bit. We'll do a 30-minute quiz. And then what we'll do is a biopsy of it. Okay? So these are what ended up getting wrong. And hey, what was that? All right?
Do you know how many questions are on the 30-minute quiz yet?
This is probably going to be something like 25-ish questions. It depends on the length of the questions. I think I'll probably end up asking essentially 1 minute per questions.
Mm-hmm.
You will definitely want a calculator for this one. So make sure a scientific calculator. Scrap paper, and I'll give you, I can give you scrap paper if you don't bring it, but writing utensil, pencil. I can also give you a pencil if you need it. And I'll give you a Scantron so I can grade them very quickly and we can talk about what went wrong. Okay? Okay. And yeah. What I will do, though, for these is if you do not do as well as you would prefer, I'll let you do biopsies of them. Okay? Essentially, this is what I got wrong. This is why I got wrong. This is how I can improve it. Okay? Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Okay. And let me put that in my calendar, actually.